Time to look at the Arms Warrior Tier 7 BIS. Again, if you haven't seen the protection video, you can check it out here. I'll put a link in the description and up the top. But all the same criteria applies. So we're looking at pre-raid gear, Nax gear, VOA gear, Obsidian Sanctum gear, which is Sarfarian, EOE, which is Malagos. Any crafted gear that turns up as BIS will be included, and we're going to be doing 10 and 25 man. Once you get your hands on this tool, you can look at strictly 10-man gear if you are only a 10-man raider. But of course, we're looking at absolute BIS, so it is going to include 25. For those of you that are members of the channel and interested, I'll be putting a post out in the next couple of days about how you can help us beta test this app, because it's going to include a lot of things, not just BIS list tools. It's going to have raid comps, talent calculators, class guides, gold guides. Literally, it should be a one-stop app on your phone, on your iPad, on your PC, whatever, for everything Wrath of the Lich King. Well, I mean, fingers crossed, that's the aim. So starting with the head, the 25-man head is obviously your BIS. I say obviously your BIS. You will start to see Tier 7 being strong for all specs and classes as we go through. And obviously it's the set bonuses that make the big difference. Arguably, it's the hardest tier piece to acquire because there's only one boss that drops the token and everybody's going to be wanting it. So it comes from Nax 25 from KT, which is the last boss. And it gives you crit and armor pen, a bunch of strength, a bunch of stamina, and obviously the very important meta gem socket. Your second BIS is going to be Tier 7, so this is just a 10-man version, comes from the same boss, but on 10-man. Has identical stats, but just reduced to reflect the eye level reduction from 213 for 25-man to 200 for 10-man. Obsidian Great Helm's a very nice one if you need the expertise, giving crit and expertise. This comes from Sarfarian in Obsidian Sanctum on 25-man. A couple of crafted alternatives would be Spike Titan Steel Helm. You'd probably look at this more as pre-raid BIS rather than Tier 7 BIS, but if you were still using it whilst you're trying to get your Tier 7.5 head, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And this is crafted by Blacksmithing, giving crit, hit, and a bunch of strength. Same goes for engineering. As an option, you could use your engineering goggles, which are actually not that far off the same stats as your Tier 7. You're just going to be losing out on a tiny bit of crit and the armor pen. For the neck, you're going to want Favour of the Dragon Queen, which comes from EOE 25-man, but it doesn't, actually. It comes from Nax 25. The item itself drops from Sapphiron, which is the boss before the last boss, and only one person in your raid can get the item that starts a quest. It then sends you to go and kill Malagos, also at the same time giving you the key to be able to summon Malagos, and once you've killed her and handed in, you can get this neck, being very nice with agility, stamina, attack power, crit, and armor pen. Your second best option is going to be the same quest item, but this time from 10-man. Once again, it's got the same stats in terms of agility, stamina, crit, attack power, and armor pen, just reduced amounts to take into consideration for the eye level drop between 226 for the 25-man and 213 for the 10-man. Kel'Thuzad on 10-man drops 213 necks, and one of them is Gem of Imprisoned Vassals, which is agility, stamina, crit, haste, and attack power. Another option would be the Titanium Impact Choker, which is crafted from Jewel Crafting, and it's a 200 eye level neck. It's BOE, so you can buy it from the auction house, and it gives attack power and armor pen. For your shoulders, you're going to want your Tier 7.5 shoulders. Whenever I refer to them as being 7.5, it's because they're the 25-man version. We're saying 10-man versions Tier 7, 25-man versions Tier 7.5. Just put that out there. Now, there's multiple ways of getting this. Obviously, the Mantle of the Lost Protector, which is the shoulder token, drops in Nax 25. But for 60 Emblems of Valor, you can also buy these from the Valor vendor. But very nice shoulders, giving crit, armor pen, and a yellow socket, as well as the obvious strength and stamina. Your second best option is going to be the 10-man version of these. Whilst not obtainable from emblems, you can get these in Nax 10 in the form of a token. A strange option, but one that does sim very well, is the upstanding Spolders from Obsidian Sanctum, so from Sarfarian. Agility, stamina, and intellect. Ignore the intellect. These give a good amount of crit, attack power, and haste, and a blue socket. So whilst they're not your BIS, they're not something that you're going to be aiming for. If they dropped and nobody needed them, these might be a potential upgrade from your pre-raid BIS, which you could be using something like Spolders of the Giant Lords, which is Sons of Hodir Revered shoulders. For the cloaks, there's quite a lot of cloaks. We've only included a few, but Age Winter Cloak with crit, attack power, and armor pen. Again, it's got agility and stamina instead of strength, but it's a very, very, very nice cape purely because of the amount of attack power and crit that you get with it. This drops from Mayexner, which is the last boss in the Arachnid Quarter. An option that can be considered pre-raid because it just comes from Emblems of Valor is Hammerhead Cloak, which is agility, stamina, haste, crit, and attack power. Again, for the Emblems of Valor, this could quite easily upgrade your pre-raid cloak, which is just a BOE called Cloak of Blooded Waters, with strength, stamina, and just straight up crit. When it comes to the chest, again, your tier 7.5, which this time there is numerous ways to get it. Yes, the tokens drop in Nax 25, but you can also get lucky and get it from Archivon in Vault of Archivon on 25-man, which most people, as I've said in other videos, you'll be running it as like 18, maybe 19 tops anyway, to increase the chance of you getting an item, because you'll try and just take one of each spec. But if you wanted the 10-man version instead, because you're struggling getting the 25-man version, this will be your second best. And this you can actually just get from Emblems of Heroism. So from the Emblems of Heroism vendor, you could pick the token up from this, or you can get it in VOA 10-man, or you can get it in Nax 10. So lots of options in second place there. Another couple of strange options to be on here, and probably you warriors are not used to seeing things like this, but from EOE 25-man with expertise, attack power, and armor pen, yes, you would look at this and say that it's a hunter chest or it's an enhancement shaman chest, but if you haven't got anything better, this is actually a very, very strong chest and sims very, very well because it's 226 eye level. So the amount of attack power you're getting from this and expertise as well could be a solid option if your raid will let you take it. And the same goes from OS 10-man. You can get chest guard of Flagrant Prowess, which has got a couple of sockets, good amount of agility and stamina. Please ignore the intellect. But it's got a lot of attack power, crit, and hit as well. So whilst you're going to want your tier, of course, one of these could actually be a solid option if you're struggling getting your tier. For the wrists, from Gothic the Harvester in Nax 25, you're going to want Bracers of Unrelenting Attack as your primary option. This is because they come with perfect stats being strength, stamina, a socket with hit rating as the socket bonus as well, and some crit and hit. So Bracers of Unrelenting Attack are 213 eye level, and you can get the same eye level from Emblems of Valor. These are BOE, so you'll start to see people actually selling these in trade for their alts that they're not bothered about getting too many upgrades on, so you could pick these up for a decent amount of gold, but then potentially get something else in place of the bracers that, you know, if your guild uses EPGP or DKP or something like that, so, you know, you could ignore the bracers and get a different item instead, and then pick the bracers up cheap on the auction house or in trade. In Nax 10, you've got some agility options here with crit, attack power, and armor pen. These are Cuffs of the Dark Shadow, and they drop from Hagen the Unclean. You'll have some very unhappy ferals or even potentially rogues, but who cares about those guys? Or Dragon Fiend Bracers, which are from the Wormrest Accord, so if you're exalted with those anyway, these could be a decent option with a decent amount of crit and attack power with agility and stamina. And remember, all of these are being simmed in order that you actually want them. So technically, Dragon Friend Bracers would be the last option that you want, with Bracers of Unrelenting Attack being the top option that you want. For the gloves, Frosted Adroit Handguards are number one, and these are leather, and there's going to be a lot of competition on these, not just from leather users, giving hit, crit, attack power, a good amount of stamina, and agility. Now, the reason these are going to be so contested is because they're 226 eye level. They are the highest eye level of gear that you can physically obtain in Phase 1, and these come from Malagos 25-man. Gloves of Fast Reaction will be a close second, and as you can see, even more agility leather gear. This time, they are actually BOE, so they could be bought from the auction house, but they come from Saffron on 25-man. And then there is a Mal option as well. Now, this is pre-raid because this is just from Violet Hold Heroic, but Hand Grips of the Savage and Misery with agility, stamina, intellect, crit, and attack power. You'll notice that the tier gloves don't show up here. That's because you're already going to have the 4 set if you focus on getting everything else. If you haven't got one of the other options, then the tier gloves are going to be sought after because you want to get your 4 set. But because the tier head, shoulders, chest, and legs are just stronger, you want to get the 226 gloves from Malagos, so we're assuming the other 4 are set in stone. But we could absolutely add the gloves as at least an option. For belt, you've got Girdler Resuvius, which is from Instructor Resuvius on 25-man, giving strength, stamina, crit, and expertise. Your second option, because you're shy on expertise at this point, is going to be Jorax Crocolis Skin Belt, which is from Emblems of Heroism. This costs 40 emblems. And from Kerastraza, just in a 5-man heroic, you can get Flame-Bathed Steel Girdle with strength, stamina, a socket with extra strength as the socket bonus, and a good amount of crit. Your 25-man tier legs should be easier to get than most tokens, purely because you can get it from Archivon in VOA, you can also get it from the token in Nax 25, or you can save up the Emblems of Valor, which is 75, to be able to just buy it from the vendor. Ultimately, out of all the legs, these are what you want to get, because it's got a nice amount of expertise on crit, and you're wanting to get, obviously, your set bonus. Tier 7 will come in next, which is just your normal 10-man Tier 7. Again, you can get this from VOA 10, or Nax 10, you can't get these ones from Emblems. Another option from Sarfarian in Obsidian Sanctum 10-man is Bellaboard leg plates, with 2 sockets, a lot of strength and stamina, and crit and hit rating. But if you was to go for another option outside of the tier, remember, because you're going for Frosted Adroit Handguards, you need the legs to complete your 4 set. Which, as we've not covered it, your 2 set increases the damage of your slam by 10%, and you're going to be using slam in both specs, and your bleed periodic effects have a chance to make your next ability cost 5 less rage, and of course, you want 100% uptime on rend, so strong set bonuses. For the boots, you've got Melancholy Sabatons, which come from Malagos 25, with a lot of strength, stamina, crit, and armor pen. These are 226 eye level, so once again, the highest eye level that you can achieve in tier 7. But in Nax 25 at 213 eye level and a socket with crit and haste, you've got Sabatons of Sudden Reprisal, which come from Anna Brecken, the first boss in the Arachne Quarter. Death-injured Sabatons are just pre-raid, but very, very strong because they've got 2 sockets and a good amount of crit, and these come from Knights of the Ebon Blade Exalted. For the rings, ultimately, you're going to want Ruthlessness to get the expertise, and you're going to want Surge Needle Ring to get the hit. Now, interestingly, Surge Needle Ring is BOE, so you could buy this from the auction house, and it drops from Eye of Eternity 10-man, so Malagos 10-man. Expect to see a lot of people hard reserving these as they're organising pugs, just because initially they're going to sell for quite a lot, quite expensive, because a lot of people have got this in their tier 7 BIS. Warriors are no exception. The other options, however, you can get Great Ring of Collision, which is agility, stamina, crit, attack power, and armor pen with a blue socket. This comes from OS 10-man, or you can get Ring of Invincibility with crit, haste, attack power, agility, and stamina. This just comes from Emblems of Valor. Or another option would be Titanium Impact Band, which is just crafted from jewel crafting. For trinkets, you guessed it, of course you want Dark Mooncar Greatness. More or less everybody who can make use of strength or agility is going to want Dark Mooncar Greatness. For the second option, Grim Toll sims the highest, but if you need the hit. You're not going to have enough armor pen initially to really make great amounts of use out of Grim Toll. So using Mirror of Truth could be an option, which just comes from Emblems of Heroism, giving you crit and a huge amount of attack power for 10 seconds. You can get exactly the same trinket if Brewfest is on, because you can get it from Corran Diabrew. Or another option would be Fury of the 5 Flights, which is just a stack in 16 attack power, and it stacks up to 20 times, and that comes from OS 25. Ultimately, as long as you're using Dark Mooncar Greatness, you could put any of these trinkets in, and they'll work just fine. Grim Toll does sim the highest because of how valuable hit is, but if you make the hit up anywhere else, then Mirror of Truth will probably actually yield more DPS, or even Fury of the 5 Flights. When it comes to weapons, Betrayer of Humanity is absolute BIS, purely because it's the only 226 eye level 2-handed axe that you're going to be able to find, giving you crit, haste, and a huge amount of attack power with a huge amount of stamina and some agility. It's an absolute beast. Interestingly, not unique, so you could dual wield 2 of these as Titan's Grip, which really, that's why I'm not going to do a Fury video, because the Fury video will literally be adding a weapon. In terms of all the other gear, you're just going to use exactly the same as arms. So take this as the Fury guide, just get 2 of these. Or you could use Wrath's Spear, which comes from Nax from Mayexna, which is agility, stamina, crit, haste, and attack power. It's nice and slow with 3.7 speed. Or even Black Ice from Malagos at 213 eye level, another polearm with agility, stamina, hit, haste, and attack power. Really, in terms of weapons, there's not that many options. There are more alternatives, but to give you a bit of variety, so you've got a 10-man Nax option, a 10-man Malagos option, and your Nax 25 option. These are the 3 that turn up at the top of the list. And then for your range weapon, you've got Spinning Fate, which is a thrown weapon from Noth the Plaguebringer, which is agility, stamina, crit, hit, and attack power. Because this particular setup where we're looking at the primary slot in each of them, the hit from this is just very valuable, and the fact that it's got crit and attack power is good. So this would be your number 1 option. Or Nerubian Conqueror, which is agility, stamina, crit, and attack power coming from Kel'Thuzad. That's only on 10-man. Or you could even get a crafted Nezingweri 4000 with crit and attack power and a yellow socket. Envoy of Mortality or something like that from KT25 would definitely be better than Nezingweri. But again, just to give you an alternative, this is just crafted, so you could buy this from the auction house. And that's it. That's arms. I'm going to say Fury as well, because honestly, when it comes to Fury, you're just going to want a second 2-handed weapon. The rest of the stats are not going to change enough because there's not going to be that many people playing Fury. Arms is just better. In tier 7 arms, it's just going to do more damage, so there's no point really playing Fury. But if you do want to play Fury, just get two KT weapons and you're golden. So be sure to like and subscribe. As I say, if you're a member, wait for that post that's going to come out in the next couple of days and you can try this tool, test it for me, give me feedback on Discord in the members only channel. And you can help this build into a really powerful tool during Wrath of the Lich King. So, like and subscribe, roll the outro.
There's lots of ways you can support the channel to keep me here putting out World of Warcraft content and covering all future MMOs. Consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to emotes. Everyone will know you remember when you comment on future videos because you get a nice icon next to your name. And you get access to members-only videos, which I'll be putting a lot of on the channel throughout the year. Additionally, there's a Patreon link in the description as well. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.